Shalom. Welcome back to another Tim Talks Christian Rock. Tim Risto here. Hope you're doing awesome today, and may God bless your day going forward from here. Welcome back to another episode in my interview series where we interview bands and artists in the Christian rock and metal scene. Today, I'm actually welcoming back my first returning guest to the show, man that needs no introduction, but we'll give one anyway. Dale Thompson, musician, vocalist, lyricist for the rock and metal band Bride. He's also actually a published author, and we'll talk a little bit about his prolific writing career today, too. He's got a great book series out called Tales to Terrify. We'll talk a little bit about that. But besides co-founding Bride, that's been around since the 80s, with his equally talented brother Troy, who plays guitar and all sorts of other wonderful instruments on Bride albums. Of course, the band started as Matrix back in '83, I believe it was. They've gone on to produce some incredible albums, including the classic Snakes in the Playground. Here's another good album, This Is It. They just have all sorts of great albums out. But he's also gone and done a solo career, too. Here's one of his albums I picked up not too long ago. He's fronted the blues-based band Dale Thompson and the Boon Dogs. They have 4 albums out with a 5th one on the way. Here's a great little box set that includes that latest Boon Dogs album, Smoke and Mirrors. It also includes kind of an earlier version of Boon Dogs, which is Dale Thompson and the Kentucky Cadillacs. And then there's one of his solo albums on there as well, too. So he's done all sorts of stuff like that. He's been involved with bands like We Are Resolute. Shout out to John Mockma and Brian Carmen from We Are Resolute. But he's been involved with all their albums, too. He's done all sorts of stuff, including Dabster Gentleman, Perpetual Paranoia, The World Will Burn, Swingle and Thompson Ordained, Digital Kill, Haunted No More. I mean, there's just tons and tons of stuff that he's been involved with, different projects and bands that he's contributed either vocals to or even some writing to as well. Now, Dale first joined me as a guest here on the show almost 1 year ago exactly. His first interview on the channel was recorded on March 26th last year, 2025, and was released on April 10th last year. And this one here was recorded on March 12th of this year, here 2026, and of course released today. So both interviews give you a unique perspective on Dale 1 year apart, which I think is very cool. I've really enjoyed sitting down to talk with Dale each time, and I think this interview is even more relaxed than our first time around. But we always get into a good rapport and can talk about all sorts of things very, very comfortably. And I think I was able to hit upon some different areas of discussion this time with Dale, and so it's not a repeat of our first interview at all. And it's tough to do that because he's been asked so many different questions over the years. It's tough to find some new things to kind of ask him about and get into. But I think we did that on at least a number of different elements here. Dale, of course, is outspoken, forthright, funny, poignant, creative, a man of deep faith, and loves to tell good stories. And all of these are on display here in this interview. But if anything, he's a bit more reflective here, too. I mean, it's nice to see that side of him as Bride gets ready to close things out after over 40 years in the Christian rock and metal scene. It's pretty amazing. Last thing, if you would please take a moment to like, share, and even leave a brief comment on this video. The YouTube algorithm lately has been all over the map. It's affecting big and small channels. And doing some of those things really makes a difference here on my videos and for my channel. So I'd appreciate it very much if you're able to do that. Just take a moment, hit that like button. It helps me out a lot. All right, let's get to it. Here's my interview with Dale Thompson of Bride. Enjoy. I'm so happy and glad to welcome Dale Thompson, vocalist, musician, one of the co-founders of the metal band Bride, back to the show again. This is actually my first returning guest on the show, so I'm very excited, number one, that it's Dale, and number two, that he's back again. Dale, it is so great to have you back again. Welcome back to Tim Talks Christian Rock.
Well, thanks for having me back. It's It doesn't seem like it's been that long ago.
I know it doesn't. Well, and your video is definitely your interview that we did was definitely one of the highly viewed ones on my channel. So I'm grateful to you for that. But obviously also shows that the interest in you is still alive. The interest in Bride, the interest in you, and all the projects you've been involved with. I think that's pretty cool. People are still interested in what you're doing, how you're doing it, and obviously the talents that you have on display. So Bride is coming to an end. It sounds like. Um, so this has happened before. So what makes it different? Why this time do you feel that Bride is ready to close up shop this time around?
It appears that we're not gaining a lot of new fans, a lot of new supporters. Most of our most of our supporters now are probably between the ages of 40 and 70, something in that range. And people outside of that range is either completely outgrown what we do, or they'll never grow into it because they're attached to whatever is happening today in today's music. Our music is old fogey music compared to this is not anything new we're doing. We've been doing this for 40 years. So Troy and I can continue creating rock songs and do what we do. But I think after this much time has gone by, and one of the reasons I come back to the States from New Zealand was to play live shows. And we did get to tour with Petra, we did get to tour with Stryper. But as far as just picking up shows on our own, it's just not happening. And there's no management knocking our door down, no booking agent. I don't think they're out there. So we're going to play maybe one more show in the States this year, and we're playing a show in Germany. And then I don't think after 2026 that they can afford me because my price is going to go way up to leave this chair. So
I
right
don't
now,
blame you.
yeah, they can get me at a bargain now, but uh, they won't be able to afford the band at that point. So it would take somebody really wanting to have us at their event to pull me out of retirement for a single show. So yeah, I mean, I'm just happy that I'm still recording with other bands and they hire me to do their stuff, and I'll continue to do that. And Troy and I will continue to write and record, but we're not going to especially get together just to do that. He'll have to call me and say, "Hey, I've got a song. Would you like to record it?" And I'll
Yeah.
say, "Yep, I'll do it. I'll record it." We'll put out singles from now on, no more
Cool.
albums. So you might get a single. We'll say, "Hey, come over and buy the single. It's $3 or something," and and we might just do something like that. But as far as us going through all the effort, all the work to try to put together an album, all the stuff that goes into it, people don't have a clue unless you're a musician. It's not worth it anymore. We could be doing something more productive, I think.
Well, I do have to say, if indeed here Vipers and Shadows is y'all's closing album, it's a phenomenal album. I love this album a lot. This double album is just so good. I think it's a peak album to end on. So
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. Are you? Let's talk about that album just briefly for a second, since it's the most recent one, the last one, quite likely. What are you most proud of this double album? You and Troy. I know a lot of effort went into to getting that put together.
Well, it really did, and it closes a chapter on me recording away from Troy because all my vocals were done in New Zealand. We had recorded the last four albums, not being in the same room together, not
Right.
collaborating with one another that much. And on this one here, Troy gave me a little bit more feedback. I would do a vocal, and he'd send back and go, "I like what you're doing, but what if you hit this note instead?" So I would go back and change it, and change some of the melodies or even the phrasings. He would say, when I wrote this piece of music, I heard the vocal right on the beat. So can you say those words like this? And then I'd go back and change my part or whatever. Troy is not short on ideas and riffs. He could do an album a week, with riffs. There's and put it all together where you'd think that it was something he'd worked on for years.
Right.
Lyrically, I've always got lyrics, but I don't know. I guess in a way, when we did this double album, I knew it was going to be the last one. I don't know why, but I think that's why I really pushed to do the double. And Troy didn't push back on the double. He's like, "Oh, we always have extra songs, and we had so many songs. We put out Lost Rules 4 with 10 other songs on there that didn't make this album."
That's right.
And we had a slew of songs still in Studio One that never got mixed. So we still
Yeah.
have songs they're just not finished.
Yeah, y'all put out a lot of music when you include that Lost Reels. I mean, it's almost like a triple album came out in some ways.
Yeah, it's three albums because Troy had been messing around a lot with keyboards and stuff, and coming up with different sounds and just experimenting. And when it was all said and done, it was like, "You've got another album here." And I said,
Yeah.
and we've got another song. We can't put another song on the double album. It's going to be too much. It's just so a couple of those songs were meant for this album, but we had to
Yeah.
choose which ones didn't make the album. And it
Yeah.
wasn't that we thought they were worse; they just didn't fit with the other songs. Though there's two, and I can't remember that I would have swapped now in retrospect. But
Yeah.
what's done is done.
Yeah. Well, that's a great album. I love it. I really do think it's one of y'all's best. I think it harks back to different eras of Bride too. I know y'all have always tried to stay fresh and do different things, but I can hear sounds and nuances, even some themes and some lyrical content that kind of just seems to draw from a variety of eras of Bride. And I love that. There's some stuff that to me that harks back to the first three albums. There's stuff from the later material. It's just there's a rich sound to it musically and lyrically. So
Yeah,
I love that. I think it's a great album.
yeah, yeah.
Talking about that, I want to dig into the themes a little bit. Some of the way you approach things. You know, what themes or messages do you feel are most important to convey in your music today at this point? You know, after this long and diverse career you've got.
I want people to seek God. I want people to know Jesus as their Lord and Savior in this life. I think that's the most important themes that we've ever dealt with, and it is challenging to write something different than the last album, and not to say exactly the same thing. So I try to write lyrics on this Vipers and Shadows to say somewhat the same thing, but say it in a different way. I would still get the message across. Because for the past 30 years, I've had a message of reconciliation, and I've pushed that really hard. The Bible commands us to teach and preach these things, so that's what I think I'm doing is fulfilling Scripture when I do it. And as a living epistle, uh, the Bible is not the end all of everything. We are living epistles. Chapters are being written in our lives now that people are reading. So we are what comes after, uh, the epilogue or whatever it is. We're summing it up in the way that we live our lives, in the way that we present the Lord, and we do it in a fashion that is modern for our era. Nobody speaks King James no more. So, we're not
Right.
out there browbeating people with the black book and
Right.
screaming it's the word of God. We're living our lives as living sacrifices unto the Lord.
Yeah. Amen. Amen to that. Yeah. It's a continuation of the Bible in that sense. We're the modern living history of what began, of course, in the Bible so long ago, continuing on His church, His bride. There we go,
There
the
you have
bride
it.
theme. How has your songwriting or lyrical, writing process evolved since, say, those early days, of Bride, all the way up through to Vipers and Shadows?
I still write primarily the same way. I don't sit down to write a song. I sit down and I might write a single line on a piece of paper. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and throw it into my notepad, and then reapproach it the next morning. Not everything that you write in the middle of the night is as genius as what you thought it was when you wrote it. Sleep has a tendency of masking things.
Sure.
But when Troy comes up and he says, "I've got what I think is a verse and a chorus," That's all we need. Bridge can come later, or solo section can come later. We used to always write verse, chorus, solo, bridge, verse, chorus, whatever.
Yeah.
Now, if you listen to a song like Million Miles, we all still have this. We have to think about it when we're playing it live because it's not our formula. It's not verse, chorus. There's some pre-choruses there. There's some other things I don't know what they are, but we put them in. But it flows, and that's the
Yeah.
key is making your song flow. But
Yeah.
I still write on napkins, or as I'm driving, I'll ask Adelinda, my wife, if she'll if she'll write something down as I'm driving or whatever.
Yeah.
I give her all these quotes that I say throughout the day. I'm like, oh, quote me on that. She never does, but she will write the lyric down when I say I need these lyrics written down.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
so,
love it.
and I just put them together, and I make a song out of it. And it might mean something to me, but it might not mean the same to somebody else. So I'm always reluctant to tell somebody what I think my song's about, because oftentimes somebody comes up with a definition and a meaning and some insight that's far deeper and cooler than why I wrote the song. So I let them run with it.
Yeah, that's great. I remember I was interviewing, I think it was Frank Hart of Atomic Opera, and he was talking about how I think it was Doug Pinnick had given him advice one time about his lyrical writing, trying to be more, I don't want to say vague, but trying to not be quite so on the nose all the time with some of his lyrical writing. And he took that to heart and kind of grew from that, was what he said. Do you have any advice that was given you or things that you've kind of learned in that process that, maybe along those lines or something different that, has helped you to evolve in your writing, especially in talking about, spiritual things or Christian themes?
Not 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 particularly anybody telling me anything, but I do pay attention. If I hear, I don't listen to lyrics. It's the last thing I listen to of a song.
Mm.
I love so many songs and I have no idea what they're singing about. I don't even know what the lyrics are.
Yeah.
And when I find a song that I do really love, say an Aerosmith song, or maybe even go back to Mother Love Bone, for
Mm.
some reason their lyrics resonated with me, and you can see bits and pieces of Andrew Wood's lyrics throughout my career.
Mm.
Captain High Top, I've thrown that lyric in, things of that sort. But
Yeah.
I like the little punchy things like Steven Tyler, like he writes. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
it's like I call it vagabond rock because it's just a guy, just I can see him on the street just doing his rant, his rap, and all that.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate enough to write some songs similar. I wish I had been able to write more wittier songs,
Uh-huh.
so that you can avoid cliches, but you can just be on that cusp of poetry and madness, and that's the cool thing. That's the way that I prefer my lyrics to turn out.
Yeah. I like that. That's very cool. Yeah, there's definitely a poetic quality, I think, to a lot of your lyrical writing, which I really enjoy, and which we'll get to in a little bit too. But talking about your fiction writing stuff like that, I want to dig into that a little bit too. Are there some specific experiences that or events perhaps that have inspired some of your more recent lyrics, maybe on Vipers and Shadows, or maybe on other projects?
The old projects, I used to subscribe to a lot of magazines,
Hmm.
Newsweek, Time, um, Popular Science. I mean, anything to get information. I was an information junkie.
Yeah.
A lot of trivial stuff that's good to have if you're at a trivia game.
Yeah.
But basically useless information in normal life.
Right.
And like you go back to Love Money, that song, Love Money, Prison Crime. I wrote that after I read an article on gangs in L.A. And it's that type of thing that I don't do now. I'm so immersed in my own writing, more so. My wife probably thinks I'm insane because she gets up and goes to work, and I'm retired. And then and when she leaves, I'm sitting here and I'm writing a story. So I'm more immersed in what is going on in my head and what I want to say that day, because I mess around on the internet with the political thing. I know it's probably wrong to do, but I just do it to jab people for fun. All you got to do is post a picture of Trump, and you're going to have 1,000 hits.
Oh yeah,
So,
you'll get nailed right away.
well, there
Yeah.
is that deranged syndrome that is an actual thing, and even some of my
Yes.
relatives have it. Some of them
Yes.
are completely screwed in the head, and they think that I'm all serious when I'm posting stuff. But I just want to see them come out of the woodwork. I want to know who these people are and how insane they
Right.
really are. And
And it's fun to draw them out and try and get them to defend their position too.
yeah, and they
And
do, and they defend some of the most ludicrous things I've ever heard of.
yes.
But instead of going deep into the politics, politics is something I used to dabble with in my lyrics, but
Yeah.
not so much now. I'd have to have my lyric sheets in front of me to even know what I was singing about on that album because so many words have passed through my mind since then.
Right. Right.
When I sit down to write a short story, it's 5 to 8,000 words, and then a novella is about 20 to 30,000, and then a
Wow.
novel is up 70, 80,000. And I'm sitting on over 500 short stories that nobody's seen. I'm sitting on over 20 novels and probably 30 novellas that nobody has seen.
Wow.
And if nobody wants to publish them, I guess I'm just going to have to start publishing them myself to get them out there. Uh,
Yeah. You're
so,
definitely a very prolific writer. I mean, I'm amazed at how you're able to churn stuff out. We get a little personal here and talking with the lyrics. And again, tell me if as we get into the question here, if this is something you don't want to address. But I was looking back at an interview in the front from the Front Row Report, and at the time, Incorruptible had just come out, and you said this about the album. So let me read back a quote that you said there at Front Row Report. I wrote the lyrics from a long period of emotion and pain. I tried to capture the intensity of a divorce after a 26-year marriage. My divorce inspired me and helped me to identify with emotions I had never incurred before. It is a roller coaster lyrically, and I think Troy's musical writing complemented what I had gone through. I bring that up because as a writer, how does the process of sharing about, I guess, kind of the painful life experiences that often come our way, being vulnerable with your audience, how does that open the door to, kind of more real, genuine opportunities to communicate in both art and in life?
I think the strongest lyric comes out of pain, not joy. I think I think when you have a soul crushing event and you're leaking life from your soul through some fissure that is opened, I think that you're spilling a lot more honesty sometimes from that. Because if you're willing to talk about it, you're probably willing to make yourself vulnerable and expose yourself. And I had to come to terms with my vulnerabilities during that period of time because it was a very volatile thing. And I had no idea when I did go through the divorce, even how many years I'd been married.
Yeah,
So
well,
that's me not keeping up with whatever was going on.
yeah,
Things happen in your life without answers. Sometimes they form more questions than anything.
mm,
But then you just have to put it in God's hands. God hates divorce. He doesn't like that. But I do believe, and I started thinking about this, that we're not to be unequally yoked, and not just with unbelievers, but with people that we're not compatible with. You
yeah,
you should not be in a relationship with somebody that you are no longer compatible with, and you don't struggle through something at the sake of your own mental health. Because I went through what I've told everybody it was a mental breakdown. I was dangerous. I was unnerved. I had to find quiet places. I had to find confined spaces so that I didn't explode. And it was a year of craziness. Looking for answers while struggling for freedom. And when it was all said and done, I've got three great kids, three boys, men now. I've got grandkids.
yeah,
everybody on both sides are better off now. Uh, things are it's a blessing for everybody, and maybe people don't look at it like that. There's no, I didn't hold any grudges, and I don't know if any grudges were held against me during that time. But I do know that when we were making Incorruptible, nothing felt right on that album. It all felt discombobulated. It felt like the songs had not been finished. There's something lacking. There's a couple songs that I would have liked to have seen on other albums because I think they're stellar, like Free. I think that's a good song. I think that's what it's called. And
Yes, yeah, it
but
is.
a couple songs on there, I don't even know why we thought they deserved to be on an album. That's my least favorite album
Is it
of
interesting?
all of them. Yeah, it's the one that if I had a throwaway album and pretended it never happened, it would have been that one.
That one. Interesting. Is it because of what was going on behind the scenes for you, or just musically a lot of that leaked in, or lyrically a lot of that leaked in
I think a
too?
lot of it leaked in lyrically. I think because there's songs on there, Darker Days and stuff,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
and it showed my vulnerabilities, but to me, it also showed weak songwriting on my part because
Mm.
I wasn't as strong as I could be during the making of that album.
You were compromised spiritually, I
Oh,
would
well,
guess.
yeah, I was definitely compromised spiritually, and
Yeah.
knowing right from wrong and still doing wrong, and then condemning yourself for it and living with guilt.
Yeah.
There's just a whole lot of mess that I brought on myself. I mean, I'm not probably the easiest person in the world to live with. I'm okay for interviews, but you wouldn't want to live with me. Uh, that type of
I'll
thing.
take your word for it, Joe.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I wanted to address that because, and again, that whole idea of kind of that catharsis in writing too. I mean, I did something similar. This was 2011, I guess. We went through a house fire and lost everything, and it was one of the biggest house fire or one of the biggest wildfires in Texas up to that point in time. So we lost everything, and one of the ways that I kind of dealt with that was through writing, and so I was able to kind of start sharing about experiences, which got me back into writing, which I hadn't done for years and years. So I know there's always that cathartic element to our writing. Do you use writing that way too? I mean, it seems like you may have in Incorruptible a little bit. Maybe it wasn't as successful as you would have liked, but has that been? And that's why I kind of bring up the experiences thing too. Is that something that you've drawn upon to help you, deal with situations in your writing?
It has, and I think the first very personal album that we did with my writing lyrics was "This Is It." Uh, I was I was really really angry when I did "This Is It," and you
Wow.
can hear on songs like "Evil Geniuses" and "Best I Expect to Do." The lyrics say it: "The best I expect to do is walk all over you."
Yeah.
And that wasn't me saying somebody's walking all over me. That's me telling the record company where they could get off.
Ah, yeah.
And I had had it with. There's been times where I've had it with Christian music completely, where I wanted
Right.
nothing to do with it, and there's too many scoundrels was in it, and still scoundrels in it today.
Yeah.
The bands aren't getting paid. Even when you do your own album and you trust distributors and stuff, you're not. I don't know what's going on, but something's not right.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, could you imagine auditing a record company? What type of an attorney and auditor would you have to hire? What would they have to do? You couldn't take in a guy that represents, a petty thief. You have to
Right.
bring somebody that can actually understand a contract. And
Yeah.
now doing these albums, and then we just hand them off to a distributor, and they distribute them. We don't know how many albums are being sold or anything like that. So yeah, I'm just not. And if Troy and I end up doing 10 singles and put them all out there, and a record company says, "Hey, you guys just released those 10 singles individually. Can we take them and put them on an album?" Well, if you got money and you can give it to me now, yes.
Yeah.
We're not doing it for you. We're not going to press
Right.
2,000 CDs, sell what we can, then sell the rest at discounts to distributors.
Right. Yeah. That's a great point. I want to bring this one up now. because you just touched on it. How has your perspective of the music industry changed since you first started?
Well, everybody starts naive and trusting, and you put your life in strangers' hands just because they have an office and two telephone lines. They have a line they pick up and they have a line they don't pick up, and they give you the line they don't pick up.
Yeah.
So I learned that in the early days, and even heard it, from the very first time we signed with Refuge Music Group. I talked to one of the, I guess he was an intern or something working for him, and he says, all them times you called Gavin Morkel down there? He was sitting right there, and he said, "Don't pick it up. It's Dale Thompson." Now Gavin Morkel runs the biggest swingers club in Nashville. That shows you. So,
Wow.
yeah, I don't mind calling out people. I don't have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some people you like, some people you don't like, some people disgust you. I mean, like Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
And
there you go.
there's plenty of that's going on, and but I just think that the thing that you learn, and it's bad because you learn how to deal with being jaded.
Mm.
You learn how not to respond to criticism over time. If you're smart, and some of us were not as smart as others, you stop debating anything. If somebody wants to have a normal conversation and not a grilling, not like an interrogation.
Right.
Once I feel like I'm talking to somebody online and it turns into an interrogation. And it's funny too because I can type very fast, but I also have canned responses because I've been asked the same questions a million
Yeah.
times. So somebody says, "Well, what do you think about this?" Oh, I've got something that's in
Just
detail. I
hit
put
that
it in
key.
there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They write me back in 2 minutes. Well, what about this? I'm like, have you read what I just wrote? Because it took me 30 minutes
Yeah.
to write it when I did write it, but
Right.
you didn't read it. You're asking me
Exactly.
questions. So that's why I don't debate anymore because people do not want me to say anything except what they want me to say, what they
Right.
want to hear.
They have a perception of you that they've pre-built in their head, and they think you should follow that. And if you don't conform to that, then they're
And
going
they
to kick
already
you off.
know that I'm not going to conform to it. That's why they challenge me.
Right.
Tim Bushong, who I do still like as an individual, and he's a
Yeah.
great musician, but he challenged me to a debate on theology, on a
Mm.
live debate. And I said,
Yeah.
Tim, what are we, 5 years old? I said, why don't we just get daggers out or guns, and let's just do that back to back. I said, no, I'm not
Mhm.
debating you, love.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. Life's too short to worry about the insanities that other people are dealing with, and why anybody is interested in me to begin with. That baffles my mind. Much less what I think or believe, or you
Right.
know, I've been very resilient and showed a lot of fortitude in this life that God's given me to live.
Amen to that. Well, and your talents have been on full display through it all, so I'm thankful. A lot of us are very thankful and grateful for that. Obviously, you've taken a lot of heat over the, especially I guess the latter half of Bride's career when you became a little more outspoken, about your beliefs as I guess you would consider yourself a universalist. I don't know if that's technically true or if that's just,
I would add the word Christian in front of it because
Okay.
people get universalist and Unitarian confused. They're two opposite ends of the spectrum. Unitarian,
Yeah.
you could be Buddhist and be a Unitarian. You can't be
Uh,
Buddhist and be a Christian
yeah.
universalist. I like to think of it as a reconciliationist, an all men save guy.
Yeah.
That type of thing where the message that I present is that God doesn't give up on us. He's not on our time frame. People
Right.
seem to think that we have to package God in a perfect little thing and say the sinner's prayer and do all these little things that we've been taught to do when none of it's taught in the Bible.
Yeah.
And but I guess my thing is about the universalist. I believe in the same Jesus. I just believe
Mm.
that he loses none. I
Yeah.
believe in the same Jesus who left the 99 to go retrieve the one.
Mm.
I believe in the same Jesus who I believe was representative of the prodigal son's father when the prodigal son returned and he embraced him and put his arms around him. I
Right.
believe in the same Jesus that took Barabbas's place. Barabbas was the first universalist. Uh, Jesus died
Interesting.
for him, and
Yeah.
Barabbas represented all of us because we were all guilty of crucifying Jesus. Yeah, so when it comes down to it, the only difference is this ideal that there is the flaming pit somewhere in the universe, maybe in the center of the earth, this flaming pit that can actually burn you, but you're not flesh anymore because you're dead, and your spirit's being tortured by literal flames, which
Yeah.
that can't happen. So I mean, I could go into the theology of it and why I believe the way I do, but I believe that the worst hell, and I may have said this in our last interview, but the worst hell anybody's going to go through, I've already gone through it, and it's all between my ears.
Mm. Yeah.
Nothing will torture you more than yourself.
Yeah. Well,
You will, if you ever get caught in a lie, you think, man, I made it. Nobody knows, and you get
right.
caught, and they call you out,
Yeah.
and you stand there trying not to make that face, but you feel disfigured, so you make a what? No, no, not me. You know,
Right. Yeah. That
but the
fake put on.
but
Yeah.
the guilt is like a sinking stone
Yeah.
in your chest, and it's heavy.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that what I'm trying to convey to people is we're free to do
Mm.
whatever we want. And people say, well, you're saying that God's going to collect everybody in the end time and we're all going to be okay. That's really not what I'm saying. There is consequences to sin.
Right.
It's correction, not torture. God's not going to torture nobody. He never has. Jesus come to save that which was lost. He did not come to condemn the world and to judge the world, but he came to save the world. I believe
Yeah.
he accomplished what he said he was going to do. Jesus promised. He
Right.
made us a promise. I won't lose you. I promise. And and I think that nobody can swear any greater than by God. And God
Mm.
has swore by himself that he will draw all men unto himself. He
Mm.
will not be defeated. Sin will not rule in this universe when God is all in all.
Yeah.
There will be no more pain, no more suffering anywhere, no more tears anywhere. Right now, people picture God sitting on a throne somewhere, Jesus on a little bitty throne, and then the Holy Spirit is being some sort of spook that runs from here to there trying to help people out as they go. People have imagined God in the most demented ways, and it's basically most of it. They didn't have television and radio in the old days, so they had books and they had art. And these
Mm.
artists were flamboyant. They were very outrageous when they painted their depictions of heaven because
Right.
they had a very materialistic view of the afterlife. They
Mm.
thought they were
Mm.
going to go from a wooden chair to a sofa.
Yeah.
That's heaven. Be on this cushioned sofa. So when there's
Right.
clouds around, clouds are even softer.
Yeah.
But I guess my doctrine, my theology, and the what I try to present is that nobody is lost forever
Mm.
because God will not allow it. He
Yeah.
desires that all men are saved and come to the knowledge of the truth. And in the end, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. And you can't do that except by the Holy Spirit. You got to be filled with the Holy Spirit to actually confess that Jesus is Lord. So
Yeah.
these people at the end are not people that are bowing down out of fear. They're bowing down because they've seen the truth for the very first time. Because nobody ever presented the truth to them in this life. They may have
Mm.
presented them a distorted church view of truth, but they never seen God for who He is. And right then, you imagine. That's why I said the thing about the lie. You imagine you're down on your hands and knees, and you realize that your entire life has been a lie. You've lied to yourself. You've allowed the Satan, the adversary of your life, to have control over you, and you've ignored the God of truth.
Yeah.
You've ignored the way,
Mm.
and now you see it for what it is. Yeah, you're going to bow down and you're going to confess, and you're going to be, whether the word's remorseful or
Mm.
whatever it is, but you're going to be genuinely sorrowful to know that your life meant nothing in this life because you wasted it and squandered it. Yet
Mm.
it means something to God because
Mm.
everybody, the worst sinner, Jesus died for. While you were yet in your sins, He said, I died for you.
Yeah.
So He doesn't love the sinner any less than He loves the Christian. Once you become a Christian, he doesn't love you any more than he loved you before. God's love does not change. That's the power of God. God is not looking, God says, listen, your life is but a vapor. How are you going to have a vapor compared to an ocean of hell and think that that vapor deserves to go into this ocean of hell when it's only been here a very minute period of time? What could constitute a father wanting to torture, not just punish, torture a child throughout eternity? That would be a monster.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway,
Interesting.
that's
I
my
can see
opinion.
that. I can see it. No, it's interesting. It's good to hear you talk about some of these things because that's an interesting perspective. I don't want to get into the weeds, but I'll just address this bit, and then we can kind of move on a little bit from there. But how then maybe do you reconcile some of the scriptural things? I think it's like is it Matthew, where describing eternal fire and things like that. I mean, there obviously are references in Scripture. There's references to God's authority and God's judgment even. I mean, how do some of those references, I think there's something in Mark about the unquenchable fire and all that, but how do you wrestle with some of those things in your interpretation?
Well, it talks about Gehenna being like an unquenchable fire, but that
Right.
Gehenna today is there and it's a lovely park. The fires have been quenched because there was nothing left to burn. They stopped
Yeah.
putting bodies and they stopped putting trash on it. There was nothing left to burn. So what birthed out of that was life. It was the grass and the trees all grew back after all of that. After they were sacrificing and stuff. Then you look at just certain words, the word forever, the word everlasting, the word eternal. You have to look up what those words mean, and a lot of times it means age. It means for a certain age, this is going to happen in your life.
Yeah.
You can lump yourself in with the entire human race if you want. That's us. Or you can take that book called the Bible and apply it individually, and that everything in there is for you individually. And I think that's how we're supposed to look at it. We are a corporate body of Christ, no doubt about it.
Right.
But you have to look at yourself. The finger cannot be worrying about what the toe is doing because the finger has got its own worries. It's got its own thing. And you hope that the toe and the finger are on the same body and you don't have a toe over here that you can't use. So to me, being a Christian Universalist is trying to bring all of this together for one purpose, and that's for God to be all in all. And he said he would be all in all. Now, when he says that he's saving the nations, nations are flowing into him, multitudes upon multitudes. Well, according to modern Christianity, a lot of people believe that if you're Baptist, you're in a false doctrine, or if you're Catholic, false doctrine. So those people are going to go to hell, even though they're going to be serving God. Their whole life they're going to hell because they had the wrong doctrine. So in the gist of it, each little denomination are only going to have a few saved. I mean, just a very tiny few that's going to be saved, while the billions upon billions of people, most who've never heard the word of God at all, not even close, not a missionary never knocked on their door, and they were in a jungle somewhere, those people are going to hell, right? I mean, they have to because they didn't accept Jesus. So what did they do? Well, they didn't accept Jesus. I know they didn't accept Jesus. They never heard about Jesus. Well, they get an exemption.
Yeah.
Where in the Bible does it say you get an exemption? There is nowhere that you can show me, according to your doctrine, where these people in this jungle gets an exemption. It's just like the age of accountability. People, I heard all my whole life, 12 years old, age accountability. Anything before that and you die, you go to heaven. I'm like, oh. So this kid, he's 11. He's 11 years old, and he's about to turn 12.
Right.
He dies on his 12th birthday. Well, if he had died the day before, he'd have got to go to heaven. But I'm sorry, you had a birthday. You're 12. You're going to burn forever in hell. You see, their arguments make no sense. So you have to actually look up certain words: Sheol, Gehenna, Tartarus, Hades. Hades, it's just the grave. People are trying to set Hades on fire. Hades is a word from a false god.
Hmm.
I think it was a
Okay.
Greek god. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I
we
believe so.
took that. We took the word Hades from the Greek.
Hmm.
That's not God. That's their word. That's the Greeks and the Romans and that
Hmm.
batch.
Right.
So anyway, long answer short. It was too late for that, but uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I
No, it
mean
makes sense.
that's
Context is important. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean that's how that's how I see it, and I'm a much better writer than a speaker, and I mean I'd be more than glad anybody that sees this wants to ask me a question, not like an interview, but not
Right.
like 20 questions. Show me this.
Right.
You find it on your own. I'll get you started, and then you find it if it's meant for you to see it, and then I'll get you started on the right path that hopefully that you can see that some of your condemnation is unjustified.
Now, you didn't always hold this belief, right? I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I read that was sometime around Fistful of Bees that
I
this
was
kind
a
of transition happened for you. Tell me about why you changed to that. What was the tipping point for you?
I was a fire and brimstone preacher. And if you saw my earlier shows every night, Jesus is coming back, and if you don't get your lives together right now, you are going to split hell wide open, and nobody's going to be able to pray you out. There is no purgatory. There's a bada, 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 bada. And I would go on and on and on and on and say, now we give the altar call. How many of you today are sinners? How many of you are going to burn in hell if you die tonight? You need to come forward and accept Jesus as your Lord and personal Savior. Invite him into your life, and you'll have eternal life, everlasting life, and you'll be able to live with God forever. And I would preach this just, you know, and I was still preaching it up until the day I was doing a study. And this is another controversial thing for people. And I was doing a study on the enemy, and I was looking up Satan means adversary. So that's not a proper noun. That's a description. Satan is a description. You could be Satan against me. You could be my adversary. So that's not his name. Oh, it must be Lucifer. Oh, God called him by name. I looked that up, and I'm like, Lucifer, that means light bearer. Huh. So I start reading down. Oh, surely to goodness, there's something in there about angels falling. And no, it's saying that Lucifer is a man. He's a king. Lucifer wasn't Satan. Lucifer was a king. And Lucifer's mentioned one time in the entire Bible. But we as Christians, we needed a name that made Satan look rough. So he took that name, which was not translated properly to begin with, because that's still that's not in the right language. That's Latin. So you take the word Lucifer, you can't reconcile it with Satan. There's no way. So I started looking into that, and I'm like, okay, a third of the angels fell with him. It's not in there. Nowhere will you see a third of the angels falling. Okay, but Jesus saw lightning fall from the sky and all this. So the more, I mean, I asked myself the same questions that people were asking today, but I did my homework and I did some studying and I dug in. So then I said, well, what else don't I know? Obviously, I can't go out and tell people that Satan and Lucifer are not the same because I just watched that Tom uh, Cruise movie with Legend, I think it was, where Tim
Oh,
Robbins, not Tim Robbins, but he was dressed like the devil.
um, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know the movie. No, I
I
can't think
can't
of who's
think
in
of
it
it.
again. Yeah.
But so I said, what else is going on?
Yeah.
So then I came across the guy named Gary Aramult, who
Okay.
tentmaker .org is what he's passed away now. And I
Yeah.
saw on there where he's claiming that we Christians have it all wrong about hell. So I started looking into it and I started typing to him and he was typing me back. He's got a massive ministry, but he's taking time to type me back.
Yeah.
And and here's what really got me. I went to my pastor, I went to my cousin who's a pastor, and I went to my uncle who's a pastor and brought up this hell thing to him.
Hmm.
Don't dabble in it. It'll just confuse you. Don't mess with it. Just believe what you believe.
Yeah.
Well, every time I've ever gone to church, all they've ever done was ask for money to build this missions fund, da da da. They're doing all this other stuff when their own community's starving, but they're sending money overseas because they want missionaries or whatever.
Hmm.
That's why we got TV, missionary on TV, cable, even satellite. Hey, and fiber optic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Uh, we I couldn't get anything out of any of them. I was like, They won't talk to me about it for some reason. So I continued to talk to Gary. Gary said, "Let me put you in touch with some people."
Hmm.
In that time, there was J. Preston Eby, Gary Sigler, Des Walters, Elwyn and Margaret Roach, and I started talking to other people that were Universalists. And I even told Gary, I said, if I find out that you're leading me on here, I said, I'll come after you. I said, I'll be really mad because you can't be saying what you're saying if it's not true. I said, that's not right. So for 4 years, I studied this.
Mm-hmm.
I was out of work. I was only playing a few shows with Brad now and then.
Mm-hmm.
8 hours a day studying the Word of God on this thing called hell. Just couldn't get it. I didn't ask for it, but suddenly I started getting things in the mail. Books, tapes, leaflets, all from the Universalist community. I filled a closet up. Not one piece of paper was slid in there. It says you can donate here. Or we've given you this book, buy our $25 book. None of it. It was all free.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this ain't no cult. Cults want something from you. They don't want anything from me.
Yeah.
So I was able to go through the Universalist community and find those people that I could trust. I didn't trust them all. Some people I didn't read their stuff. I'd read a little bit. Nah, I don't know where he's going. It sounds a little bit New Age to me, and I'm not into that stuff, not that mysticisms.
Right.
But yeah, that's one of the things. And then when I finally concluded that there is no fire in hell, and because hell is going to be cast into the lake of fire to begin with. So how is hell forever if it's cast into the lake of fire and destroyed?
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
I mean, people don't know what they're saying when they say it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I see God as a consuming fire. And if you take gold when it's first mined, it's impure. It's got impurities in it. So you have to melt the gold down, and the gold melts to the bottom, and then you scoop the dross off the top, and you get rid of the impurities in that gold. And then what you got left over, you got the good stuff, the expensive, the invaluable stuff.
Right.
That belongs to you. It's your mountain. That's your mine. You've got it from there, and that's what God does to us. We're forever being purged. We're forever being refined, and His fire is a holy fire. I mean, we're to have tongues of fire. Well, I thought fire was the devil's work. Why is God, why do we have tongues of fire if fire belongs to the devil? So yeah, I just 4 years of that, and then I was convinced.
Is the crux of it really kind of the idea that a loving God, the issue of God and pain, really, that you don't see a loving God,
No, I don't
inflicting.
see God turning His back on anyone, and He didn't even turn His back on Jesus. My God, why have you forsaken me? God had Him in sights. How can God be blind at any time from the things that go on in the world? God saw His Son be crucified. God saw that.
Yeah.
Because He was in Christ Jesus, reconciling the world unto Himself, not imputing trespasses. You see, that's and people will say, okay, fine, I'll do whatever I want to do then. I'm saved. I'm going to drink. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm like, well, you're not a Christian then, are you? So you might as well. God's not stopping you. Nobody's stopping you. You should do that. If that's what you want to do, then you're not a Christian to begin with.
Yeah.
So what's it matter? What's it matter? You can do anything that you want to do, but there's consequences.
Yeah.
If you sin, you die. The wages of sin is not hell. The wages of sin is death.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in the end, we have the lake of fire, which is the death of death. The second death is the death of what we know as death. Then there is no more death anywhere in the cosmos.
Does this will be my last question on that one, but does that turn it into then more of a works-based kind of thing? Like we can save ourselves by behaving properly, or I mean,
No.
again, you're saying everybody's saved, but how does that play into this?
When the prodigal son was in the pig lot, rolling around in the mud and the mire, It says he came to his right mind. We are to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. We
Right.
have to start thinking differently. Once you start thinking differently, the pornography that you're addicted to will no longer turn you on. The alcohol that you crave will make you sick. It won't give you the high that you used to do. All of these things that were your vices, that was your go-to, whether you were depressed or just thought you needed to feel better, or you thought it made you feel, you won't need these things anymore because your mind is now in tune. You need to know positively your identity in Christ. And that's why I like the Mirror Bible, because it talks a lot about the reflection, the mirror in the who's looking back at you. When you look into that mirror, do you truly see Jesus looking back? I mean, that's what we're supposed to be. He's living in us. Show us the kingdom of God. It's right here. It's inside you. People are like, "Oh, I can't wait for the kingdom of God." You are the kingdom of God. It's inside you. That
Yeah.
that many mansions, it's being built inside of you. People think, "Oh man, I can't wait to see the house God's going to build for me." He's building it today, here on earth, in you.
Yeah.
And people, I already know when people see this, they're either going to turn me off or they're going to talk over this to their friend. Look at that clown. Ha! He's going to burn in the deepest of hell. He's leading all these people astray. I have nothing to gain from this. Nothing.
Right.
Matter of fact,
Yeah.
I knew I had everything to lose.
Yeah.
And I actually used this, that you showed the fistful of bees. I used that to get out of my record deal with Des Dickerson and I think it was Organic Records. Is that
Uh,
Is that
that one.
Organic?
That one was. I can't even read it. It is Absolute
Oh,
Records.
Absolute Records. No,
Absolute Records.
Organic was the John and Dino thing. Um,
Oh
I
yeah.
think maybe.
Could be.
I can't remember. But anyway, I told Des Dickerson. I said, we were having some trouble with what way we felt, him being speedy, getting back to us and stuff. I'm like, what else could Des be doing? He's only
Yeah.
got us and another band signed. But
Right.
my impatience, so I finally just said, Des, is there any way we can get out of our record deal? We've done two records with you. I know you want a third one, but we really feel like we need to be free. And he said, no, you have to obligate, you have to give me another record. And I
Yeah.
said, what if I told you that I was a Christian Universalist? He said, where do you want me to send the papers to? He wanted no part of this shenanigan. He wanted none of it. It was that quick. You make sure I got the right address because I'm sending them out today. He
Yeah.
washed his hands of bride and never looked back.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I still really admire Des, but
Yeah.
I mean, I would have did the same thing if I had the mindset that I used to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, but I don't have that mindset, and I'm much better off for it. I'm not under a lot of constriction to have
Yeah.
to do this and that to please God because my life is God's. I should be a vessel of honor that He can use every day.
Oh, absolutely. Amen to that. No doubt about it. Definitely agree with you on that. No doubt. Let's hit upon this. I mean, of course, Bride's just fantastic discography, this fantastic wealth of albums and music and songs. Are there any past albums or songs across? Let's start with Bride, and then we can hit other projects too. But that you feel deserve maybe more recognition today than what they really got. There's some albums or songs.
Our last four albums are the best things that we've ever done.
Yeah,
They're I think Snakes was the best album in that time.
yeah,
I do think that we did an iconic album. It was
yes,
complete. There was no throwaway songs. Live
no
to Die
doubt.
would have been that way if we'd had a couple more good songs on there, but it fell short because there wasn't enough songs. But I
Yeah,
believe on these last four albums,
maybe
we
Snake
outdid
Eyes.
ourselves. Yes, we started with Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes
Snake
was the
Eyes.
first album that we released while I was in New Zealand.
New Zealand. Yeah, I
Yep.
do like this one too. I do think this is a good one.
The
And
songs are stellar. We use great Brazilian musicians, which we actually use live in Brazil when we play. So those
yeah,
guys have been a big part of Bride for the last 6 or 7 years, or maybe a little bit longer. Yeah, probably more than that.
yeah. And this one, repeated that, or was a throwback to Snakes in the Playground because you had that intro that was like the intro to Snakes in the
That was the bass player's ideal. He really wanted that.
Really?
He did that in the studio, and he was really proud of it. And he said, "Can I put it on there?" Yes, you can
Yeah.
put it on there. You can play a kazoo if you want to. I don't care. Just give me a good mix.
Was was it intended to be a quasi sequel to Snakes in the Playground or not really?
It was sort of like
Or
it's us
throwback?
coming back because I'd been in New Zealand, not doing anything with Bride, not playing any shows.
Right.
When I played that Immortal Fest show the first time, I hadn't been on stage for 15 years.
Right.
So that's longer than most bands' careers. I was away,
Yeah.
and it just felt like getting on a bicycle. I was back in
Yeah.
my 30s again mentally, and looking out the faces, and I never have actually understood how people see me or Bride, our fans, not the haters, but
Right.
I'm told they just love the whole thing, and see, it's like looking at yourself in the mirror. You never get to see what you really look like in a mirror.
Right.
Your mind gives you a different perception of what it is. I'll look in
Yeah.
the mirror and I'm still 30 years old. I don't know what this hair is, but you know.
I hear
This
you.
is like when I think about my dad. I think of my dad as about 40. Even
Yeah.
now when he's 80 and he comes over and I see the 40-year-old guy there. I've almost
Yeah.
stopped looking at the appearance and look further in. But
Right.
that Snake Eyes was supposed to kind of be like, "Hey, Bride's back," and it got
Yeah.
moderate, okay reviews.
Yeah.
It was probably should have got a little bit higher on Angelic Warlord, but I had a guy tell me not long ago he did a review of Vipers and Shadows, but he didn't give us 100%. He said because he can't give anybody 100% because they wouldn't believe it. I'm like, so you dumb me down because nobody would believe it was 100% album quality? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense at all. I was like, well, you was almost there, but people wouldn't believe it if I told them. You don't
That's
make them
funny.
believe it. Give me 100%.
That's right. Yeah, it's funny. I'm that way. Like on Goodreads, and I've read a book, and I'm like, I don't. Is it 5 star? I don't know if I can give it 5 star. I've got to reserve that for just the very cream of the crop. And I look back and go, I don't think I've given anything 5 stars. What is my 5 star book then? If you don't
Yeah.
ever rate one that, it's funny how we play mental games with that sometimes. But
Yeah, well, I'm like that. I give a movie 15 minutes, and if it's not at least a 3 in 15 minutes, it gets shut off.
yeah,
So you got 15 minutes. It's like a record executive. He's got a stack of
yeah,
cassette tapes there in the old days. He pops it
yeah.
and he listens. 10 seconds. Nope. 10
Yep,
seconds. Nope.
exactly.
Possibility. Somebody listen to that for me.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's the way they
exactly.
used to do it, and that's how they picked their bands.
So true. What about Here Is Your God? This one really spoke to me when this came out. I still love it, but
Yeah, I just thought that album ripped. I thought it was like
yeah,
it was modern. It did not sound like a Christian rock album. It just
right.
sounded like this great heavy metal, hard rock, put together. I don't know of any songs on there that I would have taken off. I can't
Oh yeah.
remember them all.
There's Demon Speed, of course. Here Is Your God, the title track. In My Own Time, the Unhallowed. In the End, I Promise. Like I Never Was. Shine on You. What Will the End Be? Send Your Angels. Letter of Light and Burning from Within.
Yeah,
I love the whole album. It's all
yeah.
good. I mean,
I
I
think
love Demon Speed.
that's at least a 8.5.
Yeah, exactly. This one I felt did capitalize on what y'all came back with Snake Eyes and then like took it to the next level. And so
Yeah.
this one's always been a ladder
Well,
favorite.
and it was us getting used to those musicians as well,
Mm.
because the guys that we used in Brazil, the one guy's a Grammy Award winning drummer. He's a Latin
Yeah,
drummer.
yeah.
They play almost every night with different bands. They're professional
Oh wow.
musicians, so they'll play for us. We'll have 500 people in the crowd, and
Yeah.
then you see a video of them next week, and they're playing auditoriums with thousands and thousands of people. And these
Yeah.
guys just love playing with Brad, and
That's
and
cool.
I couldn't have asked for cooler dudes. And we
That's like
actually
jazz
picked up some.
musicians used to do too. Play,
Yeah,
they just play with all sorts of different bands, and musicians would just rotate around, and they get all sorts of wealth of experience that way
yep.
playing.
Well, Chuck Berry would roll up in his Cadillac, and he would just go on stage. He never met those guys before. They'd
Oh
play his
yeah,
songs. He'd go into the promoter. Promoter would give him a briefcase full of money. He'd
yeah,
jump in the car by himself. Off he'd go to the next gig.
yeah. That's so cool.
I'd love to do it like that. That's the easy way.
Oh, that would be the way to go for sure, no doubt about it. All right, Are You Awake? This was the next one, and right before Vipers and Shadows, right? This was,
And
I
that's
think, right.
probably my third favorite album cover that we've done.
It's very cool. It's very unusual, I think, for Bride too. This
Yeah.
was a little more modern kind of. I don't know. It reminds me of Dune for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well,
But
the artist that put that together, he sent me some mock-ups and stuff, and that one he wasn't that impressed with, and I'm like, that's the one I want.
yeah,
I don't care for the other ones. I said that says it all. And of course, we've already had people say there's a demonic eye in there, and I don't know. Well, yeah, I'm like, yeah, that's an eyeball almost. I don't know. It looks more like a hole in the head. I don't know for sure what
yeah,
that is. It's
or
just called a,
tornado.
it's just called a circle.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. Just
It's
call it
a,
what it is.
it's a circle. Only Charlie
It's
Brown has eyes that look like that.
that's true. This one, I like it too, and unfortunately, I don't remember as much of the songs off of it, and I guess I haven't listened to it as much as I have "Here's Your God" and now, of course, "Vipers and Shadows." So at the moment, it's escaping me. I think "Under My Skin" I remember most adequately at the moment, but
Yeah, I'll tell you why I
um,
don't remember these songs is because we used to rehearse songs endlessly for weeks
yeah,
before we recorded them. So we lived with them, and we made them.
right,
And then we would go in the studio and we'd work on them in the studio.
yeah,
With these last four albums, there was no labor put into it on my part.
yeah,
Troy did most of the thing, putting the songs together, and he'd send them to me, and he'd
right,
say, "Can you sing over this?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'd be singing over some basic stuff. I sing over some tracks that just had bass and drums, bass and a drum machine.
oh wow,
So I would put these together, but I never had to memorize the lyrics
yeah,
because I
yeah,
wasn't going to play them live.
right,
And
true,
I probably the only time I ever recorded or sang those lyrics was when I recorded them as a keeper take.
oh
Some of
yeah,
those songs I did in two takes,
oh wow,
and I didn't practice the songs. I'll go
yeah,
through them in my head and say, "This is what I want to do," and then
yeah,
I recorded myself, so I'd hit record, and I might have to go back and fix a line or two, but the melodies
sure,
and stuff like that I invented on the spot and kept 90% of what my original vocals were.
yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Now, is Troy does all the music, or do y'all collaborate a bit on that? And you're strictly lyricist and vocals. How does that work?
Well, Troy has helped me write some lyrics. Troy's actually come up with some ideas and said, "Can you finish this? This is cool. Keep it in this vein," and we would keep his lyrics. If Troy writes something that I don't think works, I'll say we need to change that.
Yeah,
There's not this thing like why I like
yeah,
it. Troy's like, okay, it's gone. Let's do something else.
yeah,
It's and it's the same way with lyrics. It's like if he says, your melody there, man, you need to make some adjustments and do this.
yeah,
Then Troy and I have never had an argument. We've never been mad at one another. We would
hmm,
get frustrated if we weren't communicating to one another properly, and
yeah,
we were trying to figure something out. You could tell that we'd get a little bit tense, like you're not listening to what I'm saying, that type of thing.
yeah,
But we've
yeah.
never we've never had a grudge or anything like that, and
That's really
it's
cool.
a unique brotherhood.
I guess that's one thing you might miss is that collaboration. I know you said you probably still do singles and stuff like that, but as far as on an album collaborating, in that sense. Although I know he was involved in at least one song on the Boon Dogs last album too, or probably several of them. So I know there's been that. Plus, your father was involved too. What in the Bride Gospel
Oh yeah,
bluegrass album? I mean, stuff like that's kind of neat. It's a musical family affair at times too.
yeah. Well, I mean, we grew up on music. Dad was our biggest influence. Dad
Yeah,
plays banjo, guitar, mandolin,
yeah,
violin. Dad plays it all as well.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so that's where Troy gets that from,
Hmm.
uh, and I just decided I just didn't want to play an instrument anymore. I used to play bass and I played guitar, but
Yeah.
I just don't play anymore. It just doesn't. I didn't want to carry around something. Probably because I was carrying around a Kramer bass. And if anybody
Yeah.
knows anything about a Kramer bass, it's a workout because the neck is metal and it's heavy. It's a
Yeah.
super heavy bass guitar. Troy has it now. I've moved it on to his collection. So, and I think that Kramer bass is actually on a few songs.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and
That's
that
cool.
bass is 50 years old. Oh,
Wow. There's some history there.
yeah.
That could go for some money on eBay, right?
If I ever get it off Troy's wall, maybe.
Yeah. You'd have to wrestle it away from him.
Yeah.
Who have been the people in life that maybe have contributed to you the most personally, as an artist and or in the faith or both?
Oh, well, I mean, definitely my parents.
Yeah.
They've had our backs from day one. They never asked us why we were playing hard rock, why suddenly my acoustic guitar was distorted, why I was screaming. They never asked anything. And then mom even helped with the merchandise in the early days, and she would
Oh,
make
yeah.
our bank runs when we get checks because people used to pay by check. So we'd
Yeah.
have this little stack of checks that people bought T-shirts, and she'd take them to the bank and deposit them for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were definitely there. I don't know. I mean, we've had fans that were there from day one.
Hmm.
I mean that means a lot to me that somebody says I bought Show No Mercy and I've seen you 3 or 4 times live. That means a lot that you're still alive for one, that you haven't done something silly and damaged yourself too bad,
Right.
and the fact that whatever we're doing still appeals to you. So
Hmm.
it's definitely the fans. It's not necessarily any artist or anything that we would put up on some sort of
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
I think that I've just started recently truly appreciating other Christian artists, probably the way that I should have appreciated them years ago.
Yeah.
That we had such a wonderful time with Petra. This is the second or third time went out with them,
Yeah.
and even Narnia, which they said we'd played with them before, but I can't remember playing with them
Can't
before we
remember
went
that.
with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were doing the Stryper tour with Narnia, and
Love Narnia and Stryper
they
and Petra.
oh they were just. If you haven't had any of those guys on, you need to reach out to Christian. And man, he's a firehouse. He's full of the Spirit, man. And you go all the way back, and I think of Samuel Homer from Ireland, and he was a bass player in the Electrics, and
Yeah.
me and him we've talked about. He's even sent me artwork and stuff.
Yeah.
So that means a lot to me, especially from other artists.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Exactly.
Jamie Rowe's been a great encouragement over the years. He's
Mhm.
been one of those guys that is very approachable, just a super guy. Still a big kid, big like 6'4" big.
Right.
Um, it was funny because we were down in Mexico. I'll tell you a quick story. We were down in Mexico. We were
Yeah.
with Les Carlson, uh, Michael Drive or Mike Lee.
Right.
It was
John
John
Cross.
Schmidt and it was Jamie
Mhm.
Rowe, and Troy and I. We were doing just a legendary vocal concert tour thing,
Yeah.
and it was me and Troy and Michelle, his wife, and Jamie and his wife got trapped in the elevator. And Jamie's wife, she didn't like it because it was, I guess, she doesn't like confined spaces like that.
Claustrophobic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I could tell, hey, she's not going to do well if we're going to be in here. She's liable to kill us all, So I was like, we got to do something. Jamie
Right.
reached up like you would expect like Sasquatch to do, and he pressed his fingers into that door, and he pried that thing. Oh, I would like to have the video on the other side of him.
Oh yeah.
And man, he was forced that door open, and we stepped out safe and sound. But
Oh
that was
man.
that was just the coolest thing because we were trapped on the elevator with Jamie
His
Rowe.
Incredible Hulk moment right
Oh
there.
yeah, they've never been able to measure the strength of a Jamie either. It's
Yeah. I love it. That is so cool. What do you guys do chat about? I'm sure fans especially will be very curious. Do you guys talk shop when you're just behind the scenes or whatever? What's the conversation that tends to just
Well,
come up?
most of the time, if we're behind the scenes, somebody's about to go on stage. A lot of
Yeah,
times we're thinking or saying, when are they going to be done? I'm next. Are they playing over their time? It's like, I think
right.
they are. I'm already
Yeah,
tired. I'm not even on stage. We do a lot of that. And then just sitting around at like a dinner that we'd have or something. There's
yeah,
people bring up music stuff, and
yeah.
but I'm that guy in the band that when the band goes to a music store, I
Mhm.
stay at the hotel. There's nothing in a music store for me to do. It's like, hey, can I try out that mic? And you just let out a 30-second scream. Now,
Right.
let me have another one. They're not going to let you do that, but a guitar player can sit there and shred for 30 minutes.
Oh yeah,
Everybody's
yeah.
fine with it.
He'll be
So,
there all day. Yeah,
yeah, musicians, they've got their place, and singers, we have ours.
yeah,
That's the way
yeah.
I look at it. Yeah,
It,
that's
it seems like you and John Schlitt maybe would have had a little more in common for as far as that approach goes.
oh yeah. I like talking to John because he's a wealth of information. He has he's seen so much and traveled so much.
Mhm.
It's hard now that I know him as a person.
Yeah,
It's hard for me sometimes to see him as the singer that I admired early on. I still
yeah,
have all the admiration in the world for him, but
yeah.
now that I know him and know that he likes to work with his hands,
Mhm.
you'd think John Schlitt, the man never gets dirty. No,
Right.
he's out in his wood shop making stuff. He's got grinders and saws and
Right.
I mean, he's a man's man, and
Yeah.
that's what you want to see,
Yeah.
especially in a maybe not a keyboard player, but you want to see that in a
Yeah.
singer.
Right.
A keyboard player, they can do whatever they do, but yeah, you want your singer to be a real man. So
Yeah.
that's
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. Do y'all often pray together, or I don't know, go to church together when you get together, or anything like that? I know it's not very often anymore, but
well,
what are those opportunities?
there's never enough time to go to church because we're usually traveling or we're fighting some deadline that we have
Right.
an interview or something, especially
Right.
because we're doing this overseas and they always try to do tons of interviews and stuff.
Right. They fit everything in one trip.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it was John when we were in Mexico together this last time. I think we prayed with John, we prayed with Les,
Mm.
um, and then when you're with Narnia, you don't have a choice.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Why?
Christian, he'll
How
just
so?
put us into a room and go, "Let's pray." It's like,
Nice.
what now? All right, everybody. Christian wants to pray, so we all pray, and off he goes. I mean, he's just full of all this energy.
That's
And
awesome.
it reflects on stage. He's not much younger than I am, and
Right.
man, he puts on a show constantly.
I
It's
love Narnia. I've really only gotten into them more recent years, but I'm collecting their albums and going through their music. I just love it. It's
it's
great,
it's
great
it's
stuff.
so well done. The
Yeah.
music is so well done, and it's progressive. It's not so progressive that it turns me off, but it's
Yeah.
still progressive to it keeps that metal energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, and I become really good friends with Jonathan, their bassist.
Hmm.
We hit it off. We talk at least every other day in some form.
Yeah.
For some reason, they think I'm funny, so even when I'm being serious, they're laughing at me. I'm like, I'm not joking this time, you know. But yeah, him and CJ and Martin and
Yeah.
Andrew and
Great
yeah,
crew. Great
yeah.
crew for sure. Let me hit upon this here quick. Looking back, what do you consider the most significant turning point in Bride's career?
The most significant was definitely Snakes in the Playground, and there's many factors that went on in that. First of all, we're winning Dove Awards,
Yeah.
so that was prestigious, which we
Right.
didn't have before. It was like somebody recognized this as a real band,
Yeah.
even
Exactly.
though we haven't made the Christian Hall of Fame Rock Museum yet.
You
Anyway,
should.
I
That
don't
is.
know. I just seen that the other day. I don't even know what that is, but I saw
I
it.
don't either. I didn't know there was one until I don't know a year or so ago.
The,
But
the Gaithers are probably in it, and they're not even rock.
oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
it was definitely Snakes because we had just written and recorded the best album that we possibly could have. We
Yeah.
were we were full of ourselves and full of the spirit at the same time.
Yeah.
There was nothing that I wouldn't do on stage, from climbing up the scaffolding and jumping and just sacrificing my body for the sake of art.
Right.
And there was that little thing called Stryper. We had just come off a Stryper
Mm,
tour,
yeah.
and I was asked to be their lead singer.
Right.
So I said, "Yep, let's do this." So they
Yeah.
sent me a tape. I think it was cassette, and I learned the songs for the show. We was going to do a show in Knott's Berry Farm in California, and I can't remember how much time I had to get ready for it. But it was a couple of weeks, three, maybe a month. I don't know. I
Yeah.
went out and I stayed with Robert. I'm pretty sure I stayed with Robert. I remember being at Robert's house, but I don't remember sleeping in his house, though. I remember me and Robert sitting out on a curb just talking about life in general.
Yeah.
But when that show happened, there was this big thing that went on, and people was like, "Man, is Dale Thompson going to be the new Stryper singer?" And some people go, "Oh man, it's going to be fantastic," and other people's like, "It ain't going to work. There's no way nobody can replace Michael."
Yeah.
Well, I did the show and it went great. I hit every note. I held with the devil. Man, I hit that big note at the end. I felt like I
Yeah.
could have held it another 30 seconds. I was really fired up and ready. But then
Is
when I
there a
got
recording of
back,
that show, by the way?
nah, nobody. Somebody
Okay.
said they had a video of it, but they've never sent it.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
so I make it back home, and then I'd gone through a lot of stuff. I'd left Bride for a while and played with a band called Thunderball in L.A.
Oh,
and
all right.
um, and that was a great band. That was Rick Fox, and man, they it was a good band. But the Lord
Yeah.
sent me back home on that too. So Stryper, I went back home. So I was like, okay, let's do this thing.
Yeah.
So Star Song had the foresight to say, hey, we've got Cornerstone coming up. Let's do up a newspaper.
Yeah.
Is Dale Stryper's new singer, or however they phrased it?
Hmm.
And they handed out 500 of these newspapers at Cornerstone.
Hmm.
Well, that set a fire. I mean, we were the hot commodity at that time. Even
Yeah.
though people would see the 77s and like their show better than us, we were still the ones being talked about.
Right.
So everybody was all like, yeah, this is, and I wasn't denying or admitting to it at that point because I was trying to keep it a mystery and play
Right.
this thing out.
Yeah.
But once we jumped on Stryper's coattails at that point, we rode that as far as we could. It probably lasted 3 or 4 years of yeah, and then finally, we fell off, and
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
we uh, we were no longer being dragged along by the legendary Stryper.
Well, it is so cool that you guys reunited on that tour, recent tour too. That was very very cool. At one point, you'd started kind of, I guess, writing a book about documenting Bride's history. And then I have this quote here in 2013. I don't know which interview this was from, but you said, "I want to document some of our journey and write the story accurately. Unless Troy finishes it one day, I have no intent to write on it anymore. Most of the details have escaped me." Are you aware of anyone that now has picked up the mantle that will maybe write a book about Bride's history, or even a documentary, perhaps?
There is a guy that wants to sit down and talk with me, but he wants a lot more of my time than I'm willing to give him right now.
I
His
hear you.
name is
Yeah.
Eli, and I've known him for years and years and years, and he's been an avid supporter of us since Matrix. And
Yeah.
matter of fact, he bought the Matrix original reels from us.
Wow.
So he's definitely wanting to sit down and talk.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do it without Troy. I can't remember things like I used to.
Yeah.
I remember bits and pieces, and then sometimes Troy tells me that didn't happen. So it's like you're just making it. Now I'm just making it up.
You're making your own history now.
Listen, I'm not really Dale. Let me go get him. I put him over here. It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
it's like-
It's like that Jim Carrey thing recently. Was that really Jim Carrey? Everybody saw. They thought it was a double or something.
I don't know,
Anyway,
but that's just Jim Carrey being whether it was or not. He put somebody up to it or something. I don't know.
yeah, I know.
I don't know how
They
you
say it
can
was
swap
really him.
hands when you sign autographs, though. That was a weird thing. He's left-handed in real life, but he was signing with his right hand. Now, Jim
I
Carrey has a
know.
lot of talents beyond.
Yeah,
Uh, there's a clip of Jerry Lewis typing on the typewriter, and
yeah,
he's doing it to the music.
right.
And if you put Jim Carrey's version next to it,
Hmm.
it's perfect. He mimicked it,
Wow.
facial expressions, the way he did his hand.
Yeah.
Uh, some people are just born with odd gifts. You know, if he wasn't
Yeah.
an entertainer, I don't know what the man would do. It's
I know. He was born for it for sure.
yeah.
No doubt about it. When you reflect back here now on Bride's legacy in the Christian metal scene in particular, what do you feel you all have contributed to it? What's the greatest contribution that you feel you all have made as a band?
Well, the only way that I can answer that is just look back and see what people have told us,
Yeah.
and the people, the letters and the messages that I like to get. I don't get many letters anymore, but the messages that I like to get, whether it's
Yeah.
Gmail or Messenger, is people that said, "I've been a fan of the band for 30 years, maybe longer, 30 years, 20 years, and I've never once sat down to write to you and tell you what the band has meant to me over these years." And then they'll tell me something that's happened in their life where our music was instrumental, where they were able to, whether they put the headphones on or just shove two Bose speakers in their face, but
Right.
they put the music on and they managed with the help of God to get through the crisis that they were feeling, and whatever it was strong enough that it stuck with them all these years.
Yeah.
And why they're telling me now, I don't know, but I would like to hear more of that because it does encourage us.
Hmm.
Because as an artist, I'm in a house right now all by myself with two dogs.
Yeah.
I am here from, well, 24/7, I'm here. I don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
But my wife comes home, in the afternoon and we spend some time together
Yeah.
and we go to bed and then I get up and she goes to work. So this is my communicate. This is my fellowship. This is how I communicate to people
Right.
uh, on the norm because I am a bit of a recluse. My
Yeah.
nickname, even during the Snakes years, was Hermit. I had it said Hermit because everybody would go out and do something, and I would sit in the hotel room, and
Yeah.
they'd come back and tell me these grand sights they saw. I said, "Well, did you take pictures? That's all I need to see is a picture." I've always been like that ever since I was a kid, sitting there in my bedroom writing because I've been writing since I was a kid. And
Yeah.
mom said, "You need to get out and get some sun. Open up that door. You guys get some fresh air in there." Well, I'm in there, I'm because I was handwriting everything.
So the
But,
pandemic was a dream come true for you. Just stay inside.
well, I was working at the time, unfortunately, and I was an
Oh yeah.
essential person, so I had to go through two roadblocks to get to work and two to come back. I was working for Airbus helicopters there in
Oh
Auckland,
wow.
so I
Oh,
worked.
I think I remember you mentioning that
I
before.
think
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I was there for 7 years, and the
Yeah.
pandemic. We were running bare bones, but you still had to be there because we serviced the police and the EMS
Right.
helicopters. So
Yeah.
if there was something that happened, they had a breakdown. We had to get them apart immediately to
Yeah.
make sure they're flying again.
Oh, that's a
So
good thing. Yeah.
yeah, so did that. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I would have soon sat home.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a homebody. I don't go to concerts. I
Yeah.
don't go to the fair.
Right.
Things that I love to watch on TV. I would never do it live.
Yeah.
Mountain climbing, for instance. Uh, I love mountain climbing, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to climb a mountain. I mean,
You're not going out
if
to
there
do
was a
it. Yeah.
pork chop up there, maybe, and it was fresh, thick, and juicy. Yeah, maybe. But other than that, I'm not going to drag myself up
I hear you. I
there.
hear you. If there's some good Kentucky food up there, you'll go grab that, right?
Yeah. And here's how bad it is. There's a place down here. It's only like 4 or 5 miles away. It's called
Yeah.
Christie's, and
Yeah.
it's a little restaurant cafe.
Yeah.
It's always packed. I mean, slam packed. When they have breakfast, it's packed all day.
Nice.
Uh, since I've been back, we pass by it and go, gonna have to stop in there one of these days. Go straight to White Castle every time. Get me a pack of 10 and I come straight home and eat them here.
There you go. Oh man, I haven't had a White Castle in forever. Oh my gosh.
I'm pretty boring. I,
I
I-
don't know about that. I wouldn't say that.
if there's a room full of people, I'm usually sitting over away from them.
Away from yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
I,
when you
I
get me cornered like this that I can be this other person that I don't
Yeah.
recognize most of the time.
Well, then, kind of along those lines, let's talk about, for you, what do you think has been your greatest success in life? And then conversely, well, number one, greatest success, what are you most proud of? Um, and then, how did you celebrate it, first of all? And then conversely, what perhaps has been your lowest point, and how did you get through that?
Well, my children, my boys were, I mean, have always been the highlights. My oldest son, he was in the Air Force. My middle son is Marine, and he now is a big wig at University of Louisville. He's got his master's and stuff.
Nice.
My youngest son Jordan, he's got so much talent, and so yeah, I got three men in my life that I don't really know because I was in New Zealand as they were getting their families and stuff.
Right.
So they are my sons, and I'm very, very proud of them. But at the same time, I don't know them like I would have known them before. To me, they're three grown men that I love dearly,
Yeah.
even though they're my sons. So yeah, I'm very proud of that. And as far as music goes, uh, I'm impressed that God has used me this long because my prayer is always, God, use me and send me as an instrument and a vessel of your mercy and peace.
Yeah.
Let me go out and proclaim the gospel of Christ to the world.
Hmm.
Here I am, Lord, send me.
Yeah. It's okay. Take your time.
To be in service this long, in the master's service,
Yes.
is is amazing. I could have taken many different roads.
Yeah.
At one time I was a very violent person. Didn't even have to be angry. I could just turn it on.
Yeah.
Uh, and the mistakes I made were being a boxer and doing mixed martial arts and being a power lifter, which I had all the tools it took
Yeah.
to do anything that I wanted to do. And those were miserable days when because when I grew up, and a lot of people don't realize this, and this is why I think I would get so riled early on, is I was bullied all through my grade school years. I can
Hmm.
name you the bullies, but I won't.
Yeah.
Um, so here I am, this kid, and I started school first grade when I was five. I didn't go to kindergarten, so I was 5 years old. Some of the kids were six, some almost seven, and from our area, some might have been 8 or 9. Who knows how many years they had to go through first grade? They were cousins or something.
Yeah.
But these bullies would bully me from the first grade all the way up to the 8th grade. And it wasn't until I was about to start high school I started lifting weights, and I got me a boxing bag, and I trained and I trained and I trained, and I joined a boxing club, and I would spar 2 or 3 times a week. Um, I did that until I just knew I couldn't be effective anymore, because it's a young man's game. But then
Yeah.
I got into the heavy weights and stuff, and I got two Kentucky State bench press records out of it. So I knew if I could
Yeah.
set my mind at something, I could do it.
Yeah.
Um, the accomplishments that I've had in that area, I'm very proud of as well because I had to work for it. It wasn't a natural talent for me.
Yeah.
Like to bench press 500 pounds
Yeah.
when you only weigh 198 pounds,
Yeah.
that's a big task. And I earned it. I have
Yeah.
fake parts in my hands now, two wrist
Hmm.
surgeries, fake shoulder, fake knee, uh, mesh in my stomach. All of this stuff that I did was self inflicted through weights.
Yeah.
Um, but I was determined, and yeah, I'm proud of that. Even though it wasn't like a paying gig or anything, it was more for ego. I'm still proud of it because I worked through it,
Personal
and
fulfillment. Yeah.
yeah, and it was something to go into the gym and you
Yeah.
see some big guys bench pressing. You're like, can I work in with you? And they
Yeah.
look at me like, and then they're putting the weights on for me before we're done. You
Yeah.
know, uh,
That's,
but I think as far as disappointments go, I don't know. There has been some real shipwrecks. Uh, with the band. I mean, we've struggled to maintain a good solid lineup for years.
Yeah.
And that was disappointing. I hated to see Rick go when Rick left because I thought that when it was me, Troy, Jerry, and Rick,
Hmm.
we were one of the most formidable live bands on the planet.
Hmm.
Uh, Rick just looked like a rock star. 6'5", skinny, prison tattoos, and he just hovered the stage, you know.
Right.
And I hated to get beside him because when people took pictures, I looked like a midget. You can say still say midget. I don't know if you can. I like midgets. They're cool people.
Exactly. Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Why did that lineup not continue? What was the biggest, you know,
I think it was me, and nobody told me.
really?
I think I was terrible to some band members. I do.
No. No.
I think that some people had just had enough of my insanities. Uh, I mean, I'll give you an example. Still born again at that time, but
Right.
I didn't want cheese on my Wendy's double. I would go up and say, "Can I get a double and a chili,
Yeah.
small frosty, no cheese?" We'd pull through a drive. We'd leave the drive-through. I was driving down the road.
And there's cheese on it.
I seen cheese. I took that bag and I hit it like that. And when I did, there was tomatoes and ketchup, and everybody in the van was
Oh,
splattered with it. They knew I was mad. Nobody said nothing. Troy pulled off to the side of the road. We opened up this van door. I have to change pants. It's all over me. I've got burger all over me. The only thing I could do was salvage a few fries.
yeah.
But I can see why that would be an intimidating thing to be in a
Are,
band with a
are you
lunatic.
saying you were a prima donna, Dale? Is that what you're saying?
When it came to cheese at the time, I wanted to taste a burger. I
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
cheese. It wasn't
Yeah.
like I was boycotting cheese. I wanted a burger, and that's
Yeah.
it's like
So
when
so
you
you, so Bride, that best touring version of Bride, that best collection of musicians and band members broke up over cheese. That's what you're saying.
pretty
That's the
much
real story.
cheese was our Yoko. You know, it.
That's a good analogy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we lost Rick. He went overseas. I thought he was going over there to get married to some Italian chick or something, but I don't think they ever married. He ended up
Yeah.
coming back to the States, and when I heard he was back, I'm like, well, why didn't he call me? You know, he could come back, but he was
Yeah.
already in Vegas playing in a band called uh, Anti Griffith. uh, yeah, so,
Interesting.
or maybe that was down south. I don't know. He was working at a casino somewhere,
Yeah.
and then. Jerry started playing with a band called Rumors, which is a local band that they play all covers. I don't know what I think it's 60s, 70s stuff. Maybe I
Okay.
don't know. They might do newer stuff. I'm not really for sure, but he's
Yeah.
been with them longer than he was with Bride. So uh,
Yeah.
Jerry's not even on my Facebook. I have no way to get a hold of him, and I think he wants it that way. And we didn't have a falling out.
Right.
He just stopped communicating.
Yeah. Life moved on.
Well, he's got kids and grandkids, and
Oh yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but we've got Frank Portopillo, who I've always been friends with Frank
Hmm.
from the very beginning, and Frank is spot on. He's dependable. He's a good friend. I could call Frank now and say, Frank, I'll fall in and I can't get up, and he'd say, give me the address, and he would come all the way from
Cool.
Indiana to get me on
Cool.
the floor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Michael Loy, who played on This Is It and
Mm.
on um, Fistful of Bees.
Okay.
He plays for us when we play live, which is very seldom. But and Mike, when he joined the band, he was 17, so we had to get written permission from his mother to take him to Brazil. So we had to show that he was in our custody pretty much, uh,
Right.
going overseas.
Since you brought up the live thing, let me touch on that quickly, and then we'll hit writing, and then we'll close this thing out so we don't go too much longer here. But you guys played Immortal. Um, Immortal's coming up again this year. I haven't seen Brian on the list. Are y'all playing that or not? What's kind of the plan for the future yet of live shows? I know you got a few in the books anyway. Yeah,
Well, I think if Immortal had known this was our last year, they may have brought us in. I don't know. We headlined a Saturday night last time,
yeah,
and it was and Gary Lanier got mad at me because I asked the fans, "Where were you?" Nobody was there, and Gary's like, "Why would you say that?" I'm like, "Because nobody was there." But since then,
yeah,
Gary and I we've made up, I
yeah.
guess. Gary and I have had this weird relationship through the years, and right now I think we're friends again. So, but
It's
no,
one
we
of those.
yeah, well, I really like Gary. I think he's so talented and stuff, but we just haven't been in the same room with one another to fill each other out to see where we're coming from,
Yeah,
and I think that would make the difference.
yeah,
But yeah, we didn't get invited back. Last time was a fiasco because there was major sound issues.
mm,
We couldn't even start our set. So I'm 30 minutes behind the curtain with Les. Me and Les are back there because he's going to come out and sing with me. And Les is looking at me like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I don't know." And I see Troy. He's out there going like this at the mic, going check, check, check. This is before the show. So this
yeah,
big entrance that I'm making,
mm,
they want to see a rock star. I'm trying to be a rock star for you, you know, and it fizzled. I was deflated when I went out. Maybe
yeah,
maybe the show suffered. Our set got cut short 30 minutes because of it.
uh,
Uh, it was not a good experience for us,
yeah,
and I'm sort of glad that we're not playing it.
hmm,
Not that I'm mad at anybody there. I mean, they did a
right,
fantastic job, but there was just things that were in their control that they didn't control at the time, and
yeah,
that's happened too many times at bride shows that we've had quagmires like that should never. And
yeah,
it was something that the monitor guy did. The sound guy was spot on. The monitor guy blew it. I don't know. He forgot to plug something in. Had no monitors on stage. But
yeah,
I enjoyed when we played it though because I was able to get up there and sing with Les Carlson. I got up there
yeah,
and sang with Ray Para. We
yeah,
brought Rex out at the end, and he smoked on, My Guitar Gently Weeps.
yeah,
Um yeah, that was a good time, and I enjoyed that. And that whole thing of having musicians on stage, it's a bit awkward, but man, it still feels good at the same time to look over and you got one of those guys singing right in your face. It's like,
yeah.
how cool is that? Yeah.
And I bet it was good reconnecting with fans face to face too, instead of just online.
Yeah, yeah. That is the most important thing for me after a show is to speak to the fans and stuff,
Hmm.
and why people buy meet and greet for Bride, I don't know because we're going to meet and greet you even if you don't pay, or better yet, if you're going to buy the meet and greet,
Yeah,
when you come to the table to buy merchandise, just hand me the meet and greet money. I'll just put that in my pocket.
yeah. There
You
you go.
know, then I've made a little chump change for the night. Yeah, but yeah, and they'll have a great show. Matter of fact, Ken Tucker's going to be there this year, and Ken used to play
Yes.
guitar with Larry Norman, and
Yeah.
now he plays for the Boondogs. And
Oh, he does. That's right.
yeah, so
I don't know why I didn't make that connection.
so
That's right.
so Ken's band's going to be there, and I'm almost tempted to make the trip, but I don't know if I can afford it because the gas and the hotel and
Yeah.
I mean it'd be a $500 weekend and to see Ken play, and he sends me stuff every day. So I see him. He said my messenger is full of Ken's cool stuff. He's like, "Hey, listen to this one. Listen to this one." I'm like, "Dude, you got to stop making so much music." But we're going to do one of Ken's songs on the Boondogs this time.
Really.
Yeah,
I know I mentioned this to you previously, but I really want to get like you and Austin and I mentioned it to Graham Carruthers probably a year ago too. That I'd love to get you guys on a podcast. Just it could be a shorter one, 45 minutes or something, but just chatting about
oh
Boondock stuff
yeah,
and getting you guys together. Maybe Ken too, whoever. If Troy wants to pop in, I know he's been on a couple songs, so maybe just something like that to kind of show everybody the Boondocks. So I would love to do that
yeah. I think they would
sometime.
love it. Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we
And then
just
we can
gotta.
just focus on Boondog stuff, which I would love to do because I love all the Boondogs album. That latest one, of course, Smoke and Mirrors, part of Kentucky Smoke Collection, I love it. Unfinished Business has always been a favorite of
Yeah,
mine. For some
yeah, I
reason,
did
I
like
love
that
that
one
one.
a lot. But the
Yeah,
new one that we're doing is a bit more progressive because
Is it?
I've always let the musicians do whatever they want. I can't take
Yeah.
hardly any credit for the music. I'm just
Right.
like, give me some music and I'll sing over it, you
Yeah.
know. And it's Del
Yeah.
Thompson, the Boon Dogs, because people know me and they didn't know them then, but maybe they will know them later. But we're
Yeah.
dropping the Del Thompson part, and it's just going to be the Boon Dogs this time. Matter of fact, we just released an album. We've got vinyl out there now.
I
It's
saw that. A best of?
it's a best of with two new songs on it, never
Yes.
before heard songs, and it's vinyl. And it was funny because we put it out a couple days past. Austin wrote, and he goes, "Dude, it's flying off the shelf." And he showed me the numbers. Everything said 0, 0, 0, 0, not sold a one. And people say, "Why are you stopping, Dale? You're in your prime."
Oh,
But you're
man.
not primed for me. So, you know.
Well, I'm gonna go pick one up. I figured they were gone already, so I'm picking one because I saw that vinyl.
Well, when you order it, it's made to order.
Yeah,
So
made on
you just,
demand, right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
Austin's not sitting on 500 of those.
Yeah, that's good. That's smart.
I probably need to
Um,
order one since I'm on
yeah,
it.
you're gonna want one. I got to talk briefly about this here, real quick. Of course, this was part of Immortal too, but you made the cover for Heaven's Metal again. Their part one of their 40th anniversary issues that they did last
And
year.
Troy has a centerfold in there
Yes.
somewhere.
Well,
Um,
plus y'all got an article, but
yeah.
then
To tell you the truth, I was blown away that they did that. I don't know who runs Heaven's Metal now.
well, Doug Van Pelt, who actually just interviewed,
Does he still run it?
I think so. I mean, he at least manages it. I don't think it's his full time gig. He's got, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know that I actually asked him whether he's still running it. I mean, he is part of it,
I mean,
but
for him to do that for us, I never thanked him properly for that. But I never knew how to read Doug, and that's a weird thing because I think Doug's a really good guy,
he is.
but for some reason, I just always. I just always something in the back of my mind was just like, don't be too honest with Heaven's Metal. And I don't know why. But then he goes and does that, and so I'm seeing now that I've really been in the wrong a lot. I've always
Well,
liked Doug, but
we, we,
it's
we chatted recently. We did an interview that'll be coming out before yours comes out here, but he, of course, very journalistic. And we did talk a little bit about being a Christian journalist. And so that was very kind of interesting hearing that perspective of him. So and we talked a lot about artists trying to tell the truth of situations, but also be, how did he put it, a dignified, respect the artist's dignity, not just be expose like. So
maybe that's why he couldn't do many stories on us.
yeah,
But I
maybe.
can't find one redeeming factor here. Are you sure we're supposed?
Exactly. I love it. Let's talk very quickly here on writing, and I would also like to have you back on just to talk about your writing, kind of a separate episode, but let's at least touch on it briefly here. Of course, these books right here, Tales to Terrify, you've done a lot of great fiction, kind of horror fiction, thriller. I love these. I've got the first three. I've got the others ordered, of course, through you. That'll be coming. Love these books. I've read a number of stories throughout them. I haven't read them all cover to cover yet. I keep working my way through them.
They're
But
good
I love
bathroom material when you think you're going to be in there for a few minutes.
yeah, exactly. Well, they're great. They are short stories, so they're very readable. Good collection. I've got this one. This one. I guess they're not really numbered, but it is. These are 1 through 3,
Yeah.
and I've
And the
loved.
next three have different eyeballs on them. So 4, 5, and
Yes,
6, and they'll be
I
all
love
of those will be available in July. So
in July. Yeah, I'm looking for. Planning on doing a lot of reading of them this summer. So those are great. So happy to see you continue to do that. Like I said, you're a very prolific writer. How do you churn these out? When do you? I know you're at home a lot. So do you just spend a lot of your time writing
all day. When we
all
get
day?
done here, I'm going to finish up another dystopian short story. I've got to find an ending for it because I'm at 6,000 words, and I wanted to keep it at 5.
Yeah.
So I'm not at a place where I can close it up. So it might have to be about 8,000.
Yeah.
I'll probably write probably 20, 30,000 words a week in some fashion, short stories, or I'm working on a novel or a novella. What I'm trying to do, and what I wanted to do, Velox was kind enough to put out 3 books of mine: The No Clean Break, Testament of Rust, and the
Mm-hmm.
Obsidian Signal.
Mm-hmm.
Testament of Rush is a Christian fiction.
That's one of
Uh,
your favorites, right?
yeah, it is one of my favorites, and so he put those out under Threshold Books.
Okay.
So I saw that there was such interest in if I wrote Christian material fiction only,
Right.
that the sales would probably be higher. So I brought it to Velox, and I'm like, listen, I know that you don't do this. You're mainly a horror guy, and he was going to do some sci-fi, but he's thus said he didn't want to do my sci-fi stuff. He
Mm-hmm.
only wants the horror stuff. But I said, man, hey, we can sell a lot of books if you let me do a Christian, a couple Christian novels,
Yeah.
uh, fiction stuff.
Right.
And he's like, nah, I need to stick with what I know, what works, because he's got a machine in place,
Yeah.
and I respect that. So I've got probably between novellas and novels in the Christian category, probably enough for about 20 books.
Wow.
And I want those to be released because I don't have the income to be able to just do the books on my own
Right.
properly. I could just go through Amazon. It doesn't cost that much, and people can order them however. But then I'd have to order a bunch if I went out and sold them, and I'd be stuck with a stockpile. That's why I'm doing the pre-orders now for the three that's coming. So I
Yeah.
know exactly what to order. I'm not
That's
bogged
very
down.
smart. Very smart.
But I mean, I've got six more even after these three come out of short horror stories I've already went through, edited. They're all ready to go.
Yeah.
So if Velox wants more in the future, I've got more of this Tales to Terrify. But yeah, I just write. And this morning, what I did is I was looking on Facebook, and I saw this video, and it was of a dystopian world, and a guy had like a metal detector out in some sort of cesspool area, and he's taking samples, and that just clicked in my head, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, all right, let's do a dystopian thing about light because
Mm-hmm.
God is light, and let's have little balls of light in the water that they're detecting for, and they're collecting the light to take back because they live in darkness mainly. And if it wasn't for this light, they wouldn't be able to find their way. So they're
Yeah.
bringing these balls of light back. And then
Yeah.
there's going to be the big horror twist in the
Right.
dystopian world where these lights were not as friendly as you thought.
Yes.
It's sustaining
Oh,
us
how
for
cool.
now, but I just come up with that this morning, and
I
and
love
when I
it.
finish that, I'll have another one.
Well, I highly encourage viewers to check out any of Dale's books. I need to read Testament of Rust because I know you've spoken highly of that. So I've got that on order with you. That'll be one of those I read this summer yet too. But I love these Tales to Terrify. Lighthouse, The Diary, and The Dead is one of my favorites. It's one of the first ones I read, probably on a recommendation from you online. But love that one. That is just classic suspense horror,
Yeah,
however you want
it's
to put it.
suspenseful horror. I don't get into the blood and gore. Like
No.
if there is going to be a scene where there is blood, I make it
Yeah.
very brief and I don't go into detail.
Right.
So and so was attacked by the zombies. Next chapter.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
I don't do all, like some of these people are gore monsters, and
Right.
I'm not.
No, I love the atmosphere and the tension that's in some of these, and even little historical elements sometimes that are pulled in. So they're
I
really
do a
good.
lot of research.
Yeah, I can tell. There's stuff in there. It's like, wow, when do you have time for this? But you obviously are very committed to your craft, and I love that. Also, if you order from Dale, he'll put little comments in the books personally to you, which I think that's a really nice touch, Dale. Appreciate
I'm
that.
glad you
Uh,
mentioned that. I was going to mention that if you order straight from me, of course, I
yes.
get all the profits. It doesn't look
Yeah.
as good on paper with the book publisher as far as sales goes. They're not real
Right.
sales, but I will personalize each book with something that's on my heart that day.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I think that's really cool and a great incentive for anybody interested to order directly through you. I think it's just a great thing. And so yeah, 4, 5, and 6 of Tales to Terrify coming out this summer of 2026.
Yep.
They can still order directly through you. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. Please do, and do it soon because I'll have to put in an order, and it takes me about 2 to 3 weeks to get them once I order them. So
Right.
last
Okay.
time people were already posting that they had the book, even
Yeah.
in all the guys in Narnia bought one. So they were all posting they had my book, and I had never seen it or held it. or laid eyes
Yeah.
on or anything. So,
Yeah.
but that's the way it was with the record companies too. People would be, "Hey, I love your album." I'm like, "Really? I don't have it."
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
They ain't seen it.
Oh man. Well, yeah. So anybody interested in Dale's reading, again, I'll have you back on. We'll talk just about writing for an episode too. I think that would be really, really cool. I wanted to do that last year and couldn't make that happen, so we'll do that sometime this year. I'll talk to you after next couple few weeks here, so see if we can get
Okay.
that on the calendar. But anyway, any last word on Bride? What's the final word on Bride from you? What sums it up for you?
There will be no album this year or next year. But I've told somebody the other day that when somebody commits a heinous crime, they
Hmm.
get 20 years to life. Now that 20 years is speculative. You know, you may or
Right.
may not do the 20, but if you do the full 20, then
Yeah.
you get the parole most of the time.
Yeah.
You know, unless it's just a horrendous thing.
Right.
So I've served two life sentences with Bride. So I'm fine with opening those prison doors and not having the restraints and restrictions.
Yeah.
I'm still going to hold my tongue because I don't want enemies. So I won't. I'm
Yeah.
not going to just get rid of Bride and just go on a rampage like Roger Martinez did.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I respect I do respect the Christian rock community because those are the guys that's had my back and prayed for me, even though I didn't know they were praying for me,
Yeah.
and they've got me through a lot. And even the record companies that's tried their best, but you know I know when enough's enough. And like Dee Snider of Twisted Sister, he said, "I don't want them to see the shell of a man now from the man that I was."
Mhm.
And I think he's being hard on himself because I saw him sing not too long ago.
Yeah.
He is a great
Yeah.
vocalist. But you know, the road is damaging. The road physically, mentally exhausting.
Yeah.
You normally get sick somewhere along the way, and you don't think you can go on, but you just medicate with Alka-Seltzer Plus or whatever you got, and you
Yeah.
just keep trudging on. As a matter of fact, Christian with Narnia, he was sick for a couple days down in Brazil, and he was taking breathing treatments, but he soldiered on, and I couldn't tell that he was having trouble because he got up and sang like it could be his last show every night, and so yeah, I was. That's what you have to do, though. You just
Yeah.
soldier on and you move on, and but physically, I am not able to do the things that I used to do, like sit on a
Sure.
plane for 10 hours.
Right.
Uh, I'm not looking forward to going to Germany. We're going to Germany in September to do a festival. That will be one of the last shows that we do.
Yeah.
I think our very, very last show is going to be Rock House 39, and I'm hoping that that's in October.
You're proud of what you've done with Bride, right? I mean, you're proud of your history.
Yeah, yeah, I'm very proud. I think that there could have been some opportunities that we missed because I was just stubborn. But for the most part, we did what we were supposed to do, and we ran the race, and I feel like we finished it.
Well done. And you know, certainly from myself and from so many other fans, I mean, we're so grateful for the music, the history, your lyrical writing, everything that you all did has meant so much to so many of us fans. Your faith, your place in Christian rock history, I think remains solid. You guys have inspired a lot of us, certainly through your faith, regardless of whether we totally agree or disagree. I think it's just inspiring to see Christians get together, be able to wrestle with issues, you guys to be able to sing about issues and sing about your faith and challenge listeners has meant a lot to all of us. And I personally have been touched by Bride's music. I'm thankful to you for that. And I hope maybe somehow you can make it to Immortal. I've been talking about making it the last 2 years. This year I'm going to do everything possible to get there just to see, of course, all the versions of Petra and everything that are playing there. So maybe if you're standing there in the background, I'll be able to see you.
I'll be the guy that's got a sign that says books for
Yeah,
sale.
exactly. And I'll come up and buy some copies for sure. Hey, Dale, thank you so much. I always love chatting with you. It's always a joy. It's always a pleasure. Love digging into history. Hopefully, I got maybe a few new questions to you this time. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it beats of tell me how you
Yeah,
started. You know, that's it's like, okay, let me think if I'm going to lie
yeah,
this time.
exactly. What
You know?
version should I give this time? Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
thanks, Dale. God bless. I'll be praying for you for sure, for your health issues, for everything, for your future, of course, and for your writing, which I love so much. We'll get you back on for that, and then hopefully the Boon Dogs too before too long.
All right, sounds great.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Dale.
Have a good one.